Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Campaigning is over in Maharashtra, or the Maha battle or the Mahayuddh of Maharashtra, and soon enough, by Saturday, we will know the results. However, this is a very interesting election because for a while, people thought that this was a drab election, that everybody was saying the same thing and too much was happening and a headline wasn't emerging, as if to break that monotony. Even after campaigning has stopped, you saw this tamasha today, which was the issue with Vinod Thavde, who's the National General Secretary of the BJP, and that 5 crore cash controversy, after which Election Commission has filed an FIR, etc. So we'll come to that. To discuss all of this with me, I have our political editor, two very familiar faces and two voices much wiser than mine. DK Singh, much wiser than me on all politics. Manasi, definitely much wiser than both me and DK on Maharashtra politics. Manasi is our deputy editor based in Mumbai. She's in charge of not just Maharashtra, but also the coverage in large parts of the south, especially Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So, Manasi, DK, I'm so happy to have you on this really complex episode of Cut the Clutter. That's the reason we had to call in heavy artillery instead of my holding forth by myself. Now, let me try and set up the proposition. You have Maharashtra, a region with 6 distinct political regions. These are geographical, also demographically distinct, and politically also. So 6 distinct regions. Those Manasi will talk about as we go along. Also this is a very complex state in the sense that, first of all, because of the way the party is split, any figures that we have of the assembly election the last time, that is the 2019 assembly election, are almost irrelevant, except maybe for the Congress party and BJP, but even there it's not that relevant because partners have changed. Second, it is the figures of what happened in Lok Sabha elections of 2024. Those might actually look more relevant. So I will tell you the basic figure there. The basic figure is that if you see the total numbers of MVA is the party with Congress and Sharad Pawar, NCP, and Uddhav Thackeray, Shiv Sena, they got 43.9% or 43.91% of the vote, whereas the BJP led what is called as Mahayuti, but in this case we are taking NDA because there may be some marginal parties also. They together have 42.73%. So difference between the two vote shares is sub 1%. It is less than 1%. It is just 82%. It is just 0.82%. It's that narrow. Second, despite this really narrow difference of the 48 seats, the Congress, Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray, I prefer to use the names instead of acronyms of their parties because that gets too confusing and too cluttered. They won 30 seats, 30 out of 48. BJP's NCP, Ajit Pawar, they got 17 seats. One went to an independent who ultimately came on to support the Congress party. So he actually brings up the Congress party's 100 in Lok Sabha, but doesn't quite bring up the 100 in Lok Sabha because an independent cannot join a political party after getting elected. Now, just less than 1% difference, but such a big difference in seats. DK, how does that happen?
So as the vote shares of the two alliances shows, it was very close contest. And that reflects, that does not actually reflect the number of seats, the difference in their seats. But then you look at it, in certain regions, one combination did extremely better. In certain regions, another combination did very well. So in Marathwada, for instance, NDA was wiped out. It was MVA all through. Similarly, region to region performance of the two coalitions, two alliances varied. And there were many close contests. There were about 6-7 seats where your margins of victory were, I think, less than 6,000-7,000. I have not calculated it myself. I was told by one of the BJP strategists. So I'm sticking to it. In some, say, for instance, in Dhule, the difference of the margin of victory is just 3,800 votes. So the contests have been very close. But then again,
but percentages get skewed because maybe MVA, where MVA won their seats, they won by large margins. So overall percentage became higher. However, one important factor that we have to keep in mind is how this translated into assembly seats. So if you recreated the last Lok Sabha election into an assembly election, if you just allocated assembly seats based on what had happened, then MVA would have actually got 151 seats. That MVA is the Congress, Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray combination. They would have got 151 seats, whereas 145 is the halfway mark. It's a 288 member assembly. And the BJP-led NDA, or you can call it Mahayuti, they would have got 127 seats. So it wasn't that far apart. Even the other combination had got a majority only marginally. The second important metric to look at is that if you look at the outgoing assembly, because of the splits and defections, BJP-led Mahayuti had 203 seats out of 288. So that's a massive majority. That's because Shiv Sena and NCP split. Whereas MVA, Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi, or the Congress-led combination, they were left with only 69 seats. So that 69, if you translate parliament elections into assembly seats, that 69 becomes 151, and NDA's 203 becomes 127. Manasi, do you think any of these calculations have any meaning or logic?
Yes, sir. The Congress actually really ramped up its performance in the Lok Sabha election, because if we look at the 2019 numbers, the 69 that you said, Congress itself accounts for 44. But that was also one of its poorest performances in Maharashtra. Whereas in the Lok Sabha election, it emerged as the single largest party with 13 seats. So all eyes are on the Congress on whether it can carry forward the momentum, because it looks like all anti-BJP, anti-NDA votes were largely attracted by the Congress. Having said that, the edge that the Mahavikas Aghadi seemed to have in the Lok Sabha election seems to have not completely vanished, but reduced slightly. Commentators also say, and Congress leaders also admit to it, that the party should have been able to contest more seats than it is currently contesting. The Congress is contesting about 103 odd seats. It's a little different from the seat sharing formula that was agreed upon between the two allies, but it's contesting about 103 odd seats, whereas it should have contested more. But there was a lot of bickering between the Congress and the Shiv Sena UBT, because right now you just mentioned MVA as the Congress-led alliance. That equation has also changed. In 2019, it was the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray-led alliance, and that's how Uddhav Thackeray also came to be as chief minister, since that party had the largest seats and he was the most acceptable face among all the three parties. So that edge has reduced slightly. The Mahayuti or the NDA seem to have repaired some of the losses by a few factors. One being several incentive schemes that the Maharashtra government introduced in the run-up to assembly elections. Primarily its flagship Ladki Bahin scheme, which is modeled on similar schemes that both BJP and Congress governments have introduced in other states as well, which is to basically give a monthly stipend to eligible women. So that seems to have captured the imagination of voters. Agrarian distress had kind of halted the march of Mahayuti in the Lok Sabha election, especially the distress of the woes of soybean, cotton and onion farmers. Both the center and the state seem to have taken certain steps towards reducing that or addressing that. but the benefits are yet to fully percolate on the ground, as we see. And thirdly, and most importantly, the RSS is very actively involved in the campaign this time, whereas in the Lok Sabha election, as it was in several other states, it had not really rallied behind the BJP. So yeah, MVA's advantage has been reduced slightly. Mahayuti's advantage has expanded slightly. Yet this has been one of the most difficult to call elections, and most people I speak to are saying that.
Yeah. So one more set of data that we have to see, that this time parties contesting, it's a bit muddled because some contests are friendly. So I see one list which says Congress 102, Sharad Pawar's NCP 86, and Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena 96. Now, on the other side, on the ruling combination side, BJP is contesting 148. That's the largest number of seats any party is contesting of the six major parties in this election. Shiv Sena Shinde has 80 seats to contest, and Ajit Pawar is sort of marginalized. He's got 52, 53 seats like that. If you add all of this up, this doesn't add up to 288. That's because of this complexity of friendly contests and things. So we may not get it right to the last decimal point. We have to also remember what was the score in the last assembly election. In the last election, that is 2019, the BJP got 105 seats. So they were 40 short of a majority. Shiv Sena, which was then United Shiv Sena, they got 56 seats, but Uddhav wanted chief ministership, so he broke away and joined hands with Sharad Pawar's NCP. It was one NCP, then 54 seats. Congress party is 44. So they got a majority until the BJP split the Shiv Sena and the NCP. So that is what the equation is. That is what the starting point is. So DK, given all this muddle, right? And now we don't even know who will win how many. And you can see that Uddhav Thackeray, because Manasi said that there was a lot of wrangling between Uddhav Thackeray's party and Congress for the number of seats. Now, Uddhav Thackeray Sena is almost contesting as many as the Congress party, which Congress will not like. Is it all linked to Kaun Banega Mukhyamantri?
Exactly. I mean, you have at least 6 chief ministerial candidates from each of the 6 parties. So, and that's why neither side has announced a chief ministerial candidate. How things pan out after the elections, we have to see it.
So are there parties whose whatever you call ideology or political commitment is fungible with power in this case?
In both sides, we talk about 2 factions of the NCP and the Shiv Sena. I think their aim would be to be part of the ruling, to be on the ruling side post-elections, because they have to finish the other faction.
That is both the Senas and both the NCP.
Both the NCP. I mean, for Sharad Pawar also, for him, it's very important for him if he wants to. He has ensured the succession of his daughter, but to establish her, I mean, he has to finish Ajit Pawar faction. So it doesn't matter post-elections if it comes to that. I'm sure he will do his rethink. I mean, which side to go. That ideology won't really matter. Uddhav Thackeray won't really matter because he has been with the BJP. I'm not sure about the Shinde faction because Shinde, he has taken a very ideologically rigid line that I cannot be going with the Congress, which Balasaheb Thackeray basically condemned. Like at no point would we join hands with them. I would rather not contest.
And Ajit Pawar?
Ajit Pawar would be okay, either side. But the thing is, if he has to come to the other side, he has to have enough numbers. I mean, when we talk about Ajit Pawar as a probable kingmaker, as he projects himself to be, he has to have the substantial number. I mean, the tally has to be substantial, which, as it looks like, won't be that much. So he has to be, because we are talking about him replacing Sharad Pawar in the MVA, which I think is difficult to happen because Sharad Pawar, as we have seen, his faction has done very well in the Lok Sabha election. Yeah. Even now, he's said to have a clear edge over.
And unless his party does well, his faction does well, MVA will not come to power anyway. Exactly. Now we know that if it's Shinde Sena, then we know who's the chief ministerial candidate. That's the current chief minister. Yeah. But we don't know who's the candidate if it's the BJP We also know if it's NCP, Ajit Pawar, it's Ajit Pawar, right? But we don't know who are the likely candidates from Congress and BJP.
No, BJP, if you look at the posters,
Or from Sharad Pawar's party.
there are many interesting posters in Maharashtra. So when you have a constituency where the BJP is contesting, you will have the Prime Minister's face and Devendra Fadnavis's face. All others would be in mugshots. Shinde, Ajit Pawar, everybody else would be in mugshots. These two would be the prominent faces. When you look at Shiv Sena posters, you have Balasaheb Thackeray, you have the Prime Minister, and you have Eknath Shinde. Fadnavis should be there in the mugshot. So in their respective territories, they are projecting themselves as the chief ministerial candidates.
And the Congress?
From Congress, not really. I mean, nobody knows. And Congress has been, in a way, a bit, we can say, reluctant participant in this election. We were discussing the other day. I mean, Rahul Gandhi was there. His last rally was on the 6th. For the next 1 week, he didn't go back to Maharashtra. And that's the grouch, in fact, the JMM also has in Jharkhand. That Congress is not really showing that kind of enthusiasm. Although, of course, Congress is contesting on the largest number of seats, but the enthusiasm
But what
is
could be
lacking.
the reason?
Because don't have any top leaders as such. You know, Ashok Chavan has shifted to the BJP. Former Chief Minister Prithviraj Chavan, he is kind of sidelined in the party because from 2014 onwards, he hadn't really been given any prominent position. So you don't have somebody of that stature. But again, Congress should be hoping because it's contesting the largest number of seats in the alliance. If it has the largest number of seats, finally, maybe it will stick.
Mansi, you by and large buy this argument, or do you think you have a sense of who might be a more likely chief minister on either side, depending on who comes on top?
So within the Mahavikas Aghadi, there are two streams of thoughts from political leaders themselves. One, mostly coming from the Congress, where they rigidly say that only the party that will have the highest seats within the alliance will be able to decide who the chief minister is. And the other side, the other stream of thought, which is mostly coming from NCP Sharad Pawar or Uddhav Thackre's side, is that eventually they might just settle on Uddhav Thackeray as a consensus candidate because he's been chief minister before. It seemed as if although Congress and Shiv Sena had a lot of friction at that time, NCP too, but it was largely driven by Ajit Pawar. So, but by and large, I mean, it's a tried and tested experiment.
If I may add something to what Mansi is saying, I would actually be looking at Sharad Pawar's moves with a lot of curiosity. As we discussed, it's a big election for him. He has to establish his daughter. And it's pure hunch. I mean, I won't rule out even Supriya Sule as the chief minister. Don't forget, Sharad Pawar was the one who...
That is provided their alliance wins.
Yes. But let's not forget, in that alliance, Sharad Pawar is the architect of this alliance. He is the one who has brought Uddhav together with the Congress. And he is the one who is going to steer it ahead. And without him, without him, there won't be any government of the MVA. But if he has the final say, Congress should be desperate to be in power, so will be the Uddhav Thackeray Sena. Sharad Pawar will call the shots. So let's not rule out anybody from Sharad Pawar's side, and I have just taken the name.
And it's a question for both of you. Vinod Tavade also saw himself as a likely candidate for chief ministership.
Yes.
Yeah, some people saw him within the BJP as a likely candidate, also because he is Maratha, although he is a Maratha from Konkan, so it doesn't really resonate with the Marathas from Marathwada. Nevertheless, he is a Maratha, and the other choice that you have is a Brahmin candidate who is Devendra Fadnavis. And seeing the kind of caste politics that Maharashtra has seen over the past year, any party would want to keep caste issues into consideration while deciding the top post.
So, do you think today's this incident or this happening has dealt a decisive blow to Tavade's fortunes, or do you think he can recover from it and BJP can forget it?
I think DK might be in a better position to answer that, but I think where it might help the BJP, this entire episode, is that if it does come out very poorly in this election, then unlike the last time, Fadnavis will have somebody else to blame. It can be pinned down on, this episode just a day before Maharashtra voted.
Yeah.
I think much would depend on the results. The way I look at it is, look, Vinod Tavade is totally aligned with the BJP high command here. He has become the Delhi man.
Because there's been a lot of rumor that he could be the high command's candidate to be the next president.
Yes. So he is totally aligned here with the high command. Fadnavis is totally aligned with Nagpur, with the RSS top brass. So it's a very interesting thing. What will happen in this case depends on who wins, because if the BJP comes to power, BJP-led government comes to power, BJP-led alliance comes to power, we know what will happen to investigations and everything. So much would depend on the results.
Yeah, and then that could create its own leverage. Mansi, we talked about the 6 regions in Maharashtra. So we'll have the map up on the screens. If you can explain to us in 3 minutes what these regions are, geographically, demographically, I think also economically, because different factors work there. Some are agrarian, some are dry, some have sugar, and also politically. So if you would do that, that will be wonderful.
Very well. I won't go into how many numbers and how many seats each region has, because the map is already doing that for us. So let me dive into. So while we have 6 regions, I'll talk about Mumbai separately. So Mumbai being the economic nerve center. It was contested. It has been the bastion of the undivided Shiv Sena in alliance with the BJP. The BJP has also made significant inroads into Mumbai. And in fact, in the 2014 elections, when both parties had contested separately, they had ended up being almost even, with Shiv Sena getting just one more seat than the BJP. Mumbai has a significant a Marathi population, followed by a significant Gujarati population. So the Gujarati population has typically rallied with the BJP, and the Marathi population has rallied with the Thakres. If we look at the Lok Sabha results, the Uddhav Thackeray, the brand Thackeray, prevailed in Mumbai. But what the other side is also saying, that the votes that the votes that Uddhav Thackeray mostly polled were from Muslim-dominated assembly constituencies like Mankot, Shivajinagar, Muslim and Dalit-dominated like Dharavi, Mumba Devi. These constituencies actually gave a lot of advantage to the Uddhav Thackeray side of the Shiv Sena. Which is also in another episode of Cut the Clutter, we had spoken about how it is very uncharacteristic of the Shiv Sena, the way it was born. Moving on to Thane and Konkan region. Thane is the home turf of Eknath Shinde, and he's managed to maintain that bastion, that turf in the Lok Sabha election as well. Now Thane again has a lot of it has a huge industrial belt because of its proximity to Mumbai. The first election that the Shiv Sena had won was in fact in Thane, and then Thane and extended Mumbai metropolitan region, and then the Konkan districts of Ratnagiri, Sindhudurg, and Raigad. So Konkan, again because of its proximity to Mumbai, had always been a stronghold of the Shiv Sena, because if you go to Ratnagiri, Sindhudurg, especially Ratnagiri, and walk through its villages, you will see that a lot of them are full of empty houses or grey head population, because the youth mostly works in Mumbai or Pune, but largely initially in the olden days, the youngsters mostly come to Mumbai for work. And would then remit money back home, as a result of which the Shiv Sena was also able to extend its influence to Konkan. Now the Rane family, which is with the BJP, Konkan was one area where the BJP was not really able to break through, which it has been able to because of the Rane clan, Narayan Rane and his 2 sons. Narayan Rane won that seat for the BJP this Lok Sabha election, giving the BJP a foothold into it. So this election, the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray will have to prove that Konkan is still a stronghold and win that region back. Moving on to Western Maharashtra, it has been undeniably the place of strength for the undivided NCP, the region from where NCP derived almost all of its strength, barring Marathwada, which I'll come to next. Western Maharashtra region is also the hotbed of the cooperative movement in Maharashtra, the sugar cooperatives, cooperative banks, the dairies, and it's made of satraps in different districts across Western Maharashtra. What Sharad Pawar has done this election is that he has concentrated on his stronghold in this region, and he has gone shopping for winning candidates from all across and taken them on board quite early on. This work did not happen just in the run up to the assembly election, but it happened. It started immediately after the Lok Sabha election. I mean, he's concentrated on his, on the best possible geography for him to maximize his numbers. Then going to Marathwada. Marathwada, this region had dealt a blow to the ruling Mahayuti, where except for Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar, which was earlier called Aurangabad, the Mahayuti was not able to win a single seat. And this is mainly because of the, disgruntlement of the Maratha community against the government, where Maratha community decided to rally with Maratha candidates, and because especially their ire was directed at BJP and particularly Devendra Fadnavis. Now what has happened is that the Manoj Zarange Patil phenomena. Manoj Zarange Patil was the leader who started, this fresh agitation for a Maratha quota. I will say fresh because the quota demand has been at least 2 decades old. And galvanized the Marathas to actually support Maratha candidates and act against and vote against the Mahayuti in certain places. Manoj Zarange Patil has, after saying that he'll field his candidates, pulled out of the race and also issued a statement saying he does not think elections should be fought on a single caste alone. This election we might see the on-ground situation in Marathwada slightly change. Then moving on to North Maharashtra. So North Maharashtra has a significant tribal population which rallied with the MVA in the Lok Sabha election. It also has a significant OBC population. Girish Mahajan is, one of the strong OBC faces from North Maharashtra for the BJP. Incidentally, Eknath Khadse, who was with the BJP, one of the senior leaders of the BJP, who fell out with the party and joined NCP Sharad Pawar because of his differences with Devendra Fadnavis, also comes from this region. In fact, around the time of the Lok Sabha election, there was some talk of getting Eknath Khadse back on board, which would have really strengthened the BJP in terms of the caste combination in this region. But there was a pushback from the state leadership, and Eknath Khadse did not end up joining the BJP. Incidentally, his daughter-in-law, Raksha Khadse, is part of the Modi cabinet. Now, the last and the most important region, which is Vidarbha. Vidarbha is supposed to be the bellwether region for this election. Vidarbha alone accounts for 62 seats of the 288 seats in Maharashtra, which is more than a fifth of the seats in Maharashtra. And Vidarbha is one region where there is going to be a straight contest between two national parties, by and large, because Congress and BJP are contesting against each other in 36 seats in this region. And traditionally, it is said that the road to Mumbai's Mantralaya actually goes through Vidarbha. Although Nagpur is further apart from Mumbai than it is from some other state capitals like Bhopal or Hyderabad. And in Vidarbha, you had a lot of agrarian, it's 80% agrarian, it's largely agrarian. It's a motley mix of different ideologies because there is the RSS is headquartered in Nagpur in Vidarbha. There's Diksha Bhumi in Vidarbha. There's a decent Muslim population. There's a decent sized Buddhist Dalit population as well. And the factors and it has traditionally been a Congress bastion, which the BJP started kind of clawing into from 1996 onwards, initially on the topic of statehood, separate statehood for Vidarbha. The BJP in one of its national executives in Bhubaneswar had also announced its intention to carve out a separate state of Vidarbha. But in today's narrative on the ground, this separate topic of separate statehood is missing from the Congress as well as the BJP's campaign. The focus is more on agriculture, impact of Ladki Bahin, and the involvement of RSS in helping BJP spring back in this region. Those are the 6 regions of Maharashtra, where every party is strong in one or the other region, but you will not see one single party that is strong across all 6 regions.
And when you see the map tells you how many seats does each region have. Although Manasi told you that Vidarbha has 62, but you can see all the other regions as well. So DK, who's winning?
I don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, you go to the MVA camp, they're very confident they're winning, and then while you're leaving, they first tell you how convincingly they're going to win. And after a while, they start asking, so have you been there? What is your assessment? Same thing in the NDA camp. So both are jittery in the sense, many things have happened. In the Lok Sabha, of course, if you go by how they have calculated, how they are looking at these elections, how the NDA looks at it is there are 3-4 things because of which the NDA lost. They first see that Charsa Par narrative that constitution will be changed. This quote-unquote propaganda actually ruined their prospects among the Dalits and OBCs. They lost there. Then they think Maratha agitation. Beneath that entire agitation was the agrarian distress, but that actually went against them. Then they see this lack of synergy among cadres because you have Ajit Pawar. So Shinde and the Shiv Sena and BJP are natural allies. Ajit Pawar coming, that synergy was not happening. So these are the factors. They believe that they have addressed it. On the ground, yes, lots have changed, but how much of the ground has gone? One doesn't know because...
And MVA?
Now, problem with MVA is carrying on with the same narrative that it had before the Lok Sabha election. Nothing has changed. So BJP has tried to address all these issues over these months since the Lok Sabha election. MVA's strategy continues.
And thrown in the tadka of Ladki Bahin.
And Ladki Bahin is actually the is the loudest thing when you talk about the discourse in Maharashtra. BJP's hope is, the NDA's hope is, Maharashtra has not had any election since 2019, except some, bypolls, assembly bypolls. All the corporations, municipal corporations, there have been no election in any of the 24 municipal corporations. So they think that voters, you're worried about, water not coming in your tap. For that also you're trying to blame the government because there is no municipal thing there. You cannot be doing anything as a councillor. There are no councillors. So they think that kept building up, and when it came to a Lok Sabha election, people just vented out all their anger, even for small issues, against the NDA. And then there were these bigger issues, which they think they have addressed. We don't know. Ladki Bahin Yojana, yes. Infrastructure projects, they do get resonance. But suddenly, all these things have been kind of swept away by this narrative of ek hai batenge to katenge and ek hai to safe hai, which have made many NDA partners also uncomfortable. But the narrative has changed, which is actually making some Shiv Sena leaders anxious. That this narrative of Ladki Bahin Yojana, infrastructure development, the overall developmental plank of the Sena-led government is actually getting diluted by all these polarizing talks.
Yeah. So that is the Shiv Sena of Shinde that's getting worried because we have to be specific.
Just to add to this, in fact, when I was speaking to a few BJP leaders as well, so all of this batenge katenge might work for them in certain areas of the state, but there are also fears that it is diverting their narrative, from talking about development on the ground. So there are one BJP leader, in fact, told me that he rejected rallies of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah and Yogi Adityanath in the constituencies that he is responsible for, because he did not want the attention to be diverted to issues that don't concern the constituency and the development agenda. So to what extent will this consolidation of Hindus, that call, work in Maharashtra is a big question.
Manasi, in conclusion, 2 points, but very quickly. One, what is it in your view, that makes this election so unpredictable? And second, when you've traveled extensively in Maharashtra, how much of a buzz has Ladki Behan caused?
To answer the second question first, the Ladki Bahin scheme has definitely caused a buzz. And in places where there are no other local issues that are, being strongly felt, the Ladki Bahin scheme will have some impact. And you can also see, some, as DK said, jitters in the opposition camp, because initially almost all opposition parties reacted to the Ladki Bahin saying this shows their desperation. This shows that they are jittery. But then, eventually, and then, that narrative changed to questioning the fiscal strain of this scheme on the state's coffers. And now the MVA has also introduced a similar promise in its manifesto. It's just called the Mahalakshmi scheme, where they are planning to give 3,000 rupees a month to, all eligible women, as against 1,500 now and 2,100 as promised in the Mahayuti manifesto. So you can definitely, just on that basis, that the scheme is having some impact on the ground. And now to answer the more complex question, which is what makes this election so different, so special, so unpredictable, is the existence of multiple parties, multiple regional parties fighting for their existence, no ideological combinations. So you really cannot vote based on ideology anymore. That, on both sides, there are at least two partners who will not see eye to eye, even if they come to power. And, because of multiple parties, multiple candidates, the number of rebels and independents are more this season. So you will see a lot of seats where the winning margins will be very small. And there, usually in an assembly election, political leaders tell me that the voting is on the basis of 50% party, 50% candidate. This time, the weightage to candidate has slightly increased because you never know which party is going to be working with eventually, or which government that candidate is going to be working with. So you might as well go with the best face that you want to put your trust in, especially in the rural areas. So that's what makes this election different.
So we'll have the answer in 3 or 4 days, depending on when you are watching this. I will say only one thing in conclusion, that there's one more reason why for the BJP it's desperately important to win this election. Because if they lose this election in Maharashtra, that would mean that BJP does not control any of India's metros. Because already in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party is in power, although it's a split power, but AAP is in power. Chennai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Kolkata. All the metros the BJP does not have. If they lose Maharashtra, they lose Mumbai, and not just Mumbai, they lose Mumbai, Pune, Nagpur, Aurangabad. So BJP then is out of all the big cities in India. And you know what big cities mean? Also for money, for prestige, for presence. And that's what makes it even more a desperate battle for the BJP. So let's wait and watch what happens. This is probably the most important thing politically you will see until now, the Bihar elections later next year. On which note, thank you, Manasi. Thank you, DK, for producing this or creating this wonderfully wisdomful half an hour.